National Nutrition Interviews, the natural health experts, up close and personal. Meet award-winning doctor of naturopathic medicine, Jonathan Beatty. He's a graduate of the University of Guelph's Nutraceutical Science program and an expert in digestive health, detoxification, and the treatment of cancer to his patients at his Toronto area clinic. Working with supplement manufacturer Prairie Naturals, to his colleagues, he's a product educator and lecturer. Dr. Beatty formulates products and is a passionate supporter of patients' rights. He's also a National Nutrition Interview guest.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jonathan Beatty. I'm a naturopathic doctor with Prairie Naturals based out of Coquitlam, BC. Nutrient deficiency is an ever-increasing problem, especially in Canadians. Part of the reason is poor diet. Another big part of the reason is just sort of increased need and increased demand by the body, but one of the main contributors that actually gets often overlooked is medications people take. And it's one of those areas where because it's overlooked by many people, they don't understand why a lot of the side effects happen, and many of the side effects of drugs are actually because they're depleting the nutrients. There are a number of different ways to find out you're nutrient deficient. Ideally, you go to a doctor or healthcare practitioner that's well trained in nutrition, because they won't overlook something that's an overt nutrient deficiency. Naturopathic doctors tend to be a great area to start because they have such a strong background in nutrition and nutritional health. But you can go to your doctor and you can get a variety of different blood tests. There's a number of different ways to look for nutrient deficiencies. But one of the easiest ways is to look up your symptoms online and then cross-reference that with nutrients. And then go and speak with your doctor about being tested for nutrient deficiencies in those areas. And that can actually help streamline your approach. Is it possible to have long-lasting symptoms from nutrient deficiencies? Absolutely. One of the biggest ones is B12. B12 deficiency. When you lack B12, it actually begins to interfere with how your nerves are created and insulated, and you can actually get an irreversible damage to the nerves because of low B12. So that's always one that there's no known toxicity with it. I'm a very big believer in B12, and a lot of the times you get the nice added effect of extra energy. The most common medications causing nutrient deficiencies, well, the most common medications are statin medications for lowering of cholesterol. They typically will deplete CoQ10, leading to lots of muscle cramps as well as memory deficits. The other ones that you'll typically see, antidepressants and antibiotics, which are two classes of medications that are also very heavily used. And again, you're going to see disruption of magnesium, disruption of a lot of your B vitamins from these medications. Again, it's going to depend a little bit on the specific medication, but as a drug class, that's usually where the mechanism by which they're interfering with the normal physiology, and because of that, that's usually where they're generating the deficiencies. Well, it depends on the medication, but the most common ones you'll see based on what the most common medications are that are being used is coenzyme Q10. Most and almost all of your B vitamins, especially B12 and folate. B6 often gets thrown in there as well as being commonly reduced by medications. Many of your minerals are actually reduced by medications, as well as it's quite disruptive to the normal bacterial flora of the body. So in a way, you would also say that the probiotics are also being reduced by medications. Supplements generally are safe to take with most medications. The one thing that I find can happen is actually patients, as they begin to become healthier and their body works better, become over-medicated. And so oftentimes they'll start to show the opposite symptoms. For instance, if they had high blood pressure, then they start taking nutrients that help their body to heal, and they're taking a drug to lower their blood pressure. Now they start to swing to the other end of the spectrum, which is low blood pressure. So I always do advise that people work with their healthcare practitioner anytime they start a supplement program, especially if they're on medications, just to make sure they're being safe and make sure that they're not going to have any negative effects from that. What supplements do I recommend for people with nutrient deficiencies because of their medications? Well, it'll ultimately depend on the type of medication they're taking, and one of the easiest ways to do that is to go to mytavin.com. It's mytavin.com, and you can punch in the name of your drug and see what you're likely to be deficient in. But beyond that, what I usually will recommend to people is a good B complex vitamin to make sure you're getting all of the B vitamins needed, as those tend to be, they're non-toxic, but they're also the most likely to be deficient. Generally, a very well put together multivitamin will at least help mitigate any of the nutrient loss from the drugs. And then, of course, looking at some things like magnesium is a very, very common mineral deficiency in Canada. Iodine tends to be a very common mineral deficiency in Canada. And on behalf of Health Canada, take your vitamin D, because regardless of drug-induced deficiencies or not, the average Canadian is already deficient in vitamin D, and so I definitely recommend that one. So where's a good place to begin if you suspect you have drug-induced nutrient deficiencies? Well, my first recommendation is go back to the doctor who prescribed you the medication and ask them about it. But if you're not getting any answers there, I highly recommend that you look into a naturopath. Maybe go to findanaturopath.ca or through the Canadian Association of Naturopathic Doctors. There are naturopaths located across the country. I myself am located in Pickering, and I know that there's actually a couple of on-staff naturopaths right at National Nutrition at their head office there.